Alright, so what we got here, we're setting up a 4-link on a 98 TJ. We cut up the frame, made the frame straight. We have a 14-bolt axle with a unlimited chassis truss on top of it. We're using unlimited chassis link brackets. Just their 4-link brackets, triangle top, parallel lower. It's easy, simple installation wise. Right here, as you can see, it's PVC pipe. The reason we're using that for mock-up is because it's cheaper to, if you get your length too short, you can just cut another one. It costs $10 for 10 foot versus a whole lot for some DOM tubing. So you can see right here, we did mess up one, about a 1/2 inch short, so we had to recut it. It's fine, it's easy, we can throw that away, we don't have to worry about it. It's cheaper than throwing away some tubing, some 2-inch DOM tubing. So right here we have a bracket with the option of a shock mount for the top. We probably were not going to use that, but it's there. It gives side support for the bracket. It's just tacked onto the frame right now. We're using Curry Johnny joints. All the way around we have right hand threads up front, left hand threads in the back, so we can just turn the link to adjust, quick adjustment for our length. The jam nuts are not on it right now. Once again, this is just mock-up. Let's set our link bracket up here. Push it as far forward as we could. It's pretty much up against the transfer case mount, the skid plate. We could go a little bit further if we want to cut it, but right now we're going to try this. I think it's going to be long enough. This kid's a pretty long link. We stretched the axle out about 6 or 7 inches to the rear. We put it in. We line this link, this bracket up where it's nice and parallel. Got a nice even path straight to the front mount. And then we just measured, put our inserts halfway on the threads, measured, came out to 23 inches I believe, and that's for the mock-up for the lower link on, this is the driver's side. Alright, so our upper link underneath the Jeep now, the same bracket as the lower link in the front. It came in pieces, welded it together. They're welded together. You could cut them before you weld them together or even after to make different link sizes if you want. We're going to try this and see what happens with our squat and anti-squat. If we have to change it, we have to change it. But simplicity, this is what we're going to do. Same as the lower, push as far forward up against the transfer case skid plate. We have Johnny joint, once again, same joint all the way around. The insert, once again, PVC tubing. Please, this is for mock-up. Do not run an axle with PVC tubing. It will not work out for you. It's just for mock-up. It's easy. You can cut it, you can get rid of it, you can throw it away and not cry when you have to go buy more DOM tubing. Alright, so back in the rear on top of our truss here, we have a triangulated 4-link bracket welded on top. Right now it's just tacked in place on top of the truss. It is centered on the truss. The truss is centered between the flanges, the brake flanges of the axle. This is very important because this pumpkin is not centered on the axle. The tube, one side, I believe this side is shorter tube-wise than that side. It's because of the offset of the ring and pinion. It's the design of the 14-bolt. Has to be that way. So when you center everything up on your axle, make sure that you go out to your brake flanges because those are going to be center. So my truss is centered there, and then I just centered this bracket up on top of the truss. Right now we got a little bit of clearance issue here between the pinion guard bridge and the truss. I did put the guard underneath, the bridge underneath. I think we're going to have to maybe cut this out. So you can see I can't even really get my finger underneath there. We're not doing a lot of up travel, but there's a good chance of it hitting. That's why we're doing all this mock-up before everything's set in place. It's very easy to trim out and make clearance-wise. That's pretty much it for the upper. We're going to duplicate the other side. To set up the axle, though. So we set it up. We set up our ride height. We're going to run 42-inch tires, so we measured 21 inches off the ground. And then we measured up to our body to get the clearance and everything. We're running about straight up travel clearance. I think it's right about 9 or 10 inches. We're doing a low slung idea. The fender's a big cutout. We'll do a video on all that outside the Jeep. So we set it up. Our height, we measured from the same point on each side of the frame. We used this hole right here. We measured from here back to the axle tube. Center the axle tube, measure that back both sides, measure side to side off a good point. We used the side of the body here because we modified the frame. If it was factory frame, I would have used the side of the frame because it's nice and square. I wanted to use something a little bit better, so we used the body. We measured that off, and then we squared it up. We measured crosswise and got the same measurement, and that's how we centered the axle underneath the Jeep. That's important. If you don't center your axle, you'll have funky driving characteristics, and it will just not feel good. All right, so we'll continue on going around the Jeep.